KUNKLE Lounge is a great place for engineering students to get work done, and it's integrated in the buildings of Hammond and Sackett. Hammond is home to the administration of the College of Engineering and also the Department of Engineering, or Aerospace Engineering, but we'll talk about that later. Sackett is home to civil engineering. It's actually one of the oldest buildings on campus, and Hammond is also one of the oldest buildings on campus. It was designed by students in the 1950s, so it has some very odd structure to it, but it's all a learning experience, so it gets the job done. It's conveniently located next to downtown. Downtown is home to all sorts of different places, including Dunkin' Donuts, which is conveniently located across the street for engineering students.
And it's 24/7, which is another really great perk if you're having a late night study.
It's a big plus for engineering students. Also to mention is that this is only open to engineering students. No other students are allowed to enter and access this place. So it's strictly for engineering students to get their work done. It's a really nice place to do the things you need to do.
I'd like to quickly point out the Office of the Dean. He's a really friendly guy. You can see him often in KUNKLE talking to students. I especially like to mention this because this door is always open, and everyone's always really friendly. If you need to go hand in papers for scholarships or anything like that, this room is always open. My freshman and sophomore years, I did not know that. I was very scared of this area, so there's classrooms on the other side of this room, so I would walk upstairs, down the hall, and then back downstairs to get to the other side of this building. Save yourself the time, the trouble. This room is always open, and there's also free candy, so definitely don't make the same mistake that I did.
It's also a great place to go if you have financial questions. All the people who work on that kind of stuff are in here. If you have scholarship questions or want to get more info on scholarships that the department offers, then feel free to stop in and talk to them at any time. We'll make our way up. So, making our way down this hallway, a big part of this hallway is e-design, which is a first-year course that all engineering students except computer science are required to take. E-design covers a wide range of engineering topics and kind of gets your feet wet in different disciplines of engineering. You'll cover things from team building all the way up to working with mechanical drawings and then CAD modeling with computer-aided software of all sorts of different things in the class. And then you'll cover an industry-sponsored topic where you receive a problem from an industry sponsor, and then you are tasked to come up with a solution to that problem and then pitch it. So the best projects get to go to a poster symposium up at the Bryce Jordan Center, which is also where FON is held every year. And if your project is good, you win a prize, and you get to meet the industry sponsors as well. It's a great opportunity for freshman engineering students to get involved with an industry sponsor immediately upon coming to Penn State.
Yeah, so for example, my freshman year, our project was sponsored by Delphi, and we were supposed to design a way to make a car more safe. So we tried to figure out a way to have the brakes of a car indicate how safe it was to drive based on weather conditions. So it's a really cool way to get real engineering experience as a freshman.
Coming down the hallway, we'll stop and take a look at all the different industry sponsors that have come to Penn State before, really big name companies, and we'll see them down the hall. One thing we like to talk about now is near and dear to my heart, it's the Department of Aerospace Engineering. Directly below us is the administrative office for the department. So, in case you didn't know, aerospace engineering covers everything from aircraft all the way up to spacecraft. We are kind of like a specialized mechanical engineering in a sense, but working directly with mechanical engineers as well as electrical engineers. It covers a wide range of topics all the way from the structure of aircraft and spacecraft down to the fluid mechanics of those things. Penn State's a Research One institution, so all the department professors do research related to aerospace that undergraduates can get involved in. I've been able to work in a lab that did space propulsion using microwaves to combust fuels, which was really neat. And then now I'm working in a laboratory that focuses on supersonic jet exhaust, and we do the aerodynamics and aeroacoustics of that. Sorry. It's really neat stuff. Undergraduates can walk in and talk to these professors at any time and ask to join their research teams, and they're open to do that. They let you get the experience that you want to have. It's a really great opportunity, and the curriculum is great. Penn State's currently ranked #1 by employers for who they want to come and work for them. So they love to have Penn Staters in aerospace come work for them. It's a great time to be a part of the program.
If you guys have taken a campus tour, you probably saw the large library, Petit and Paterno, but with that, each college has their own library too. So this is the College of Engineering. The great thing about this is that all of the librarians here have technical degrees. So if you're looking for paper to work on a project or a research project, they can point you in the right direction. And another really great resource here is that they have all of the engineering course textbooks and all of the general science class textbooks on reserve here. So I actually have gone like 4 semesters without buying any textbooks at all. So if you're looking for a way to save money, that's a really great resource.
One thing we like to talk about is the resources here. You will have access to all the computers in the laboratory. I've never had an issue with not having available space to get on a computer, and on top of that, they're featured with all the engineering software you could possibly need. They have software that's worth $10,000 for industry here, free for students, that you would need in your courses. You're not going to buy that license on your computer or your personal one. They offer student discounted ones, but at the same time, you can come in here and use it for free. So if you're debating that question, should I get a Mac or PC, it really doesn't matter. You just pick the one that is preferred by you.
So this red building here behind you guys, through the trees, is the Architectural Engineering building. So the difference between architecture and architectural engineering is that architects design the building, and then architectural engineers make sure the building's actually going to work. So you can focus on a lot of different things within the major, for example, construction or the HVAC systems within the building. Basically everything that actually makes a building functional is what an architectural engineer focuses on. So our program here at Penn State is a 5-year program with an integrated master's. There's also the opportunity to study abroad in either Italy or China if you want. It's not mandatory, but it's a really cool opportunity. In addition to that, they have their own career fair, which is a really cool resource with I think more employers go to the resource than there are students. So there's a 100% job placement with this major, which is really awesome.
Another thing to note is that while it's a 5-year track, you can actually change up the track and get a master's degree within 5 years if you want to do that. Obviously, it's more rigorous coursework, course load, same span of time, but you're getting a master's degree. But it's something that a lot of students do, and it's a great program because if you get a bachelor's degree in 4 years, traditionally a master's take 2 years, so you're squeezing out an extra year at a time. So this is a mechanical engineering building. It's called REBER. So mechanical engineering, as many of you probably know, is kind of like aerospace, but more general. It's really focused on any kind of machinery that moves. And so companies like Ford and also aerospace companies like Boeing and Lockheed come through to hire mechanical engineers. It's the largest major in the College of Engineering. I think they have around 500 students every year, which is massive. And they do a thing where they take half the students and put them in certain courses, and then they flip-flop. So 250 go one way and 250 do the other half, just to make the class sizes reasonable. But it's a great major, especially if you want a general understanding of a lot of different things in engineering in general. This is the new renovated e-Knowledge Commons. So this is a place for students to work, kind of like where we started out our tour, but this one is really, really new and very, very nice. So we're going to walk right through it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking because I don't want to disrupt people working. Hitting the tables is kind of, they're in the way, but we'll make our way through the lounge. So making our way up here, if you take a look on your left, this is the traditional size of an engineering classroom. It's about 50 students or so, and that's especially true in the later years, your junior year and your senior year. A lot of students are concerned about the class size, especially when you come in as a freshman. I know I was concerned to take a 600-person lecture, which seems intimidating at first, but the professor is required to hold office hours, so you can have a one-on-one conversation with him at any time during his office hours. There's TAs for every classes who assist the professor in their work, and they have to hold office hours as well, so you can go talk to them if you have questions. And then the lectures in those big halls are traditionally recorded as well. So if you miss a lecture or you want to revisit the material, you can go back online and watch it at any time. It's a great way to keep up to date with what's going on, or maybe if something goes wrong, you miss a class, you can go back and not miss anything.
There's two buildings back there, very uniquely named Engineering East and Electrical Engineering East and Electrical Engineering West.
Very creative.
So as the name might suggest, those are home to electrical engineering. Electrical engineering is arguably one of the most broad majors. So every company, every industry that has anything to do with electrical components, you need electrical engineers to work for. So it's not just designing circuit boards. It can be really small scale, like the semiconductors that are in your phone, but it also can be really large scale as well, like designing power grids for the entire country. So there's a lot of ways you can use a degree in electrical engineering.
And they're at top of the line stuff too, making high power batteries, doing things like signal processing, things like related to AI and facial recognition, for example, like what the new Apple iPhones do. Really neat stuff, top of the line research. All the professors in that department and any department do research as well that students can get involved in. Up here we have the portal to the Earth, Energy, and Material Sciences. It's home to 4 engineering majors that actually aren't housed in the College of Engineering, but we still treat them like engineering majors. So I think they are environmental engineering, mining engineering, petroleum engineering, and energy engineering. So this building is actually great. You'll have a lot of classes in here if you are in any of the majors in the college or that college. I know I've had a ton of aerospace classes in that building. It's actually very nice. I enjoy having class in there.
Like James said, those are in the College of Earth and Mineral Science. So as they are more Earth and Mineral Science based, that college has more resources to offer them than the College of Engineering does, but they are still engineering majors.
So we'll follow the same traditional track of courses. If you want to switch up and take some tech electives, you can do it in those majors as well. I know if I want to take like a material science course, I could do it in my later years and still fulfill requirements for aerospace. So we're making our way up Westgate building, home to computer science and computer engineering. So those majors are very related. The way we like to break it down is computer engineering is 60% hardware, 40% software, while computer science is the vice versa of that. So those are two majors where they're heavily ingrained, kind of like electrical engineering, into a lot of the other majors. Pretty much every major nowadays uses computer science in some way or fashion. I know that I've taken computer science courses in the aerospace curriculum, and it's very advantageous to have those kind of skills. So I think they have the highest starting salary as well. I think it's somewhere around 80 grand that computer science engineers leave Penn State, which is something I'm a little jealous of. But
really great companies are recruiting Penn State computer scientists and computer engineers. For example, Microsoft, Intel, Google, like
could
pretty
be
much
anything. Any aerospace company is going to hire software engineers as well. Pretty much any company you can think of will hire software engineers. I know a ton of computer science majors who went to Capital One to work.
Oh, wow.
And they need computer science people as well. So they're all in Washington, D.C., which is kind of neat. Yeah, it is kind of.
There's really cool ways to get involved in those majors as well. For example, a few times a year, companies will hold something called a hackathon, where they give students a problem statement, and they spend the whole weekend designing or coding a solution to the problem statement, which is a really cool experience and a way to get involved with a company. Yeah.
Another thing we like to talk about now is civil engineering. So civil engineering is kind of like the public works engineering major. They focus on construction of things like dams, buildings, kind of like architectural engineering. They have a geothermal track so they can harvest energy like that, and surveying lands. So this building is very interesting and related to civil engineering because this building was designed in France, but when they wanted to implement it here at Penn State, they realized that the bridge area that we just crossed over would have actually collapsed onto Atherton Street below. So they asked Penn State civil engineers and students to help come up with design changes in order to make the building actually work here at Penn State. So what they did was they hollowed out these pillars that are here, and then they installed some of these cracks that you see on the ground. Those actually have a purpose. They let the concrete expand and contract over time, so the building kind of has room to breathe. So those changes allow this building to actually stand on the Penn State campus, which is great.
So civil engineering is really cool because it lends itself really well to humanitarian engineering, just because of the big public works projects. So there's a lot of really cool ways to get involved as a civil engineer. For example, there's clubs like Bridges to Prosperity and Engineers Without Borders. But you don't have to be a civil engineer to get involved in these clubs. For example, I'm an officer for Engineers Without Borders, and right now we're designing a way to power a wastewater treatment system in Roatan, Honduras with solar energy, because they currently have it, but they can't afford to run it because of the electricity costs. So that's a really cool way to get involved too, and to travel internationally if you're interested in that, which is something we can talk about now. So if you're interested in studying abroad, we mentioned architectural engineering, it's integrated into their program, but any kind of engineer can study abroad if they want to. You can do a full semester, or what I did a May-mester, which is a month-long thing after classes end in May. So I went to China for a month and studied the impact of culture on engineering. So we traveled around to a bunch of different Chinese cities, and then following that month I had a 2-month-long internship with a Chinese steam and gas company, which was really cool, and that was through the professor who taught this class. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. You can take classes, you can travel for clubs, you can do international internships. So if traveling is something you're interested in, there's a lot of ways to do that as a Penn State engineer. Just make sure you talk to your advisor so you can fit into your schedule.
So over here is the Earth and Engineering Sciences building. This is a very neat building and home to a very cool major. It's called Engineering Science. We like to describe engineering science as kind of a build your own major, where you can take the courses that you want and you work with an advisor to kind of mix and match whatever you see fit. So if you wanted to take aerospace classes and couple it with biology classes for some reason, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but somebody probably can figure out why, then you can do that. And you just work with an advisor in the department to make sure that you're meeting the requirements of the degree. So it's an honors major as well, where you have to write a thesis and you graduate with honors. That's mandatory. So you work directly with a professor throughout your years to do research and then write a thesis on whatever topic you're studying. And it's a great way to line those students up for graduate school as well. Many of them choose to go to graduate school after getting their bachelor's degree, and they're set for success because they had all that research experience in undergraduate studies as well. One thing to note is that if you want to go to graduate school, like myself actually, then you can get involved with research that I was talking about earlier and set yourself up to have good credentials to go to graduate school after graduating. And STEM fields are a great way to get funding in graduate school so you don't have to actually pay to get your master's or your PhD. A lot of departments and whatnot will offer funding to STEM students because it's so sought after. So Penn State offers the research experiences to get that kind of funding once you graduate.
So this is the Leonhard building, which is the home of the industrial engineering program. So industrial engineering is where engineering meets business and economics. So they focus a lot on optimizing manufacturing processes as well as looking at things like ergonomics, so making sure that products are working well and connecting well with people.
Make our way down.
Penn State's industrial engineering program focuses pretty heavily on manufacturing because Pennsylvania is such a big manufacturing state. So, for example, this is the factory for advanced manufacturing education.
Hi! You get to do fun stuff like weld. Join IU.
Real life example of it. Thanks, man.
Although TIG welding is the worst. It's very tough.
So if you look into this lab, you can see a bunch of different kinds of machines, welding machines, and equipment, as he mentioned. All of these were donated by Penn State corporate sponsors and partners. So these are actual industry equipment that you're going to be using once you graduate, so you kind of get an edge on other people because this is stuff that you're going to be using once you're in industry. If you can see, there's a bunch of windows at the top, so IEs have a project where they're given a product that they're supposed to design a process for making, and so that gives them like a bird's eye view for how to optimize where everything is located, where the operator is standing, and where different equipment is, which is kind of what industrial engineers do.
Yep. Another thing to note is that Penn State does a great job with taking what you learn in the classroom and applying it to real-life applications. So a lot of courses that you take will cover the theory of engineering and it's heavily math-based and things, all those which are critical to an engineer's success. But you also have the opportunity to get involved with things like this, where you're working with hands-on equipment. I know in the Department of Aerospace, I was able to join a class that's building a human-powered aircraft it's absolutely amazing. It's a 74-foot wing airplane that's pedaled by someone, and that turns a propeller, and then, you know, off he goes. We just flew it for the first time, I think it's 2 weeks ago now, and it was absolutely incredible. It's a great experience to be able to, you know, build all these components of a real aircraft, the wings, the body, you know, any other component, the electronics, and then actually see something that you designed get implemented and tested. It's a really awesome experience that not every university can offer to its students. Oh, hello, Walt. Okay. So another cool thing about industrial engineering is that a student was a co-op at Disney and helped Disney produce its FastPass system. So if you've ever been to Disney, you're probably familiar with that.
Yeah.
Penn State students had a hand in that, which is pretty neat.
Pretty awesome.
Yep.
Just an example of how, as an intern or a co-op, you can have really cool actual work experience. And Penn State is really, really great about helping students get internships in co-ops. So it has one of the largest career fairs in the world.
Over there is the Learning Factory. The Learning Factory is similar to the manufacturing floor you saw in there. It's made for students, and a lot of mechanical engineering students will have courses in there actually. But it's another spot to learn hands-on manufacturing skills. Many clubs operate in there as well, including the Formula SAE team, which makes its own race car every year and competes against other colleges, which is really neat stuff. They build a lot of parts in there, have a big say in, you know, making a lot of the different components of their car in that building. So it's a really neat example of how Penn State students can get that hands-on experience that I was talking about.
So I actually started out as a biomedical engineer my freshman year, so I like to talk about how it's really easy to change majors if you enter a major and realize it's not for you. So nothing against the biomedical engineering program, but I just decided that chemical engineering was more up my alley. So at the end of my freshman year, you don't declare your major until the end of your sophomore year. So you don't even really have to, I went and talked to my advisor about it, and it was a really easy change, and I'm going to be graduating on time, which is nice because a lot of the classes you're going to be taking at the beginning of your freshman year and the beginning of your sophomore year are really broad, so it's really easy to change majors. I know people that have changed majors at the end of their sophomore years and they're still graduating on time. So if you're worried that you don't want to pick something because it might not be the right major for you, it's really easy to switch around. And there's a lot of really great resources to learn about the different types of engineering. Your freshman year, so we have major nights through the College of Engineering where you can go and talk to students about what they do as their major, and there's also a class you have to take your freshman year seminar, or first year seminar, just a one-credit class to kind of get you acclimated to campus. And you can take ones that will teach you about all the different types of engineering, or you can take one that's specific to the type of engineering that you're interested in, or you can take one that's not related to any of that stuff at all. Like I took one that was about engineering entrepreneurship, so we worked on really creative projects to try and solve interesting problems. We like designed a way. So we designed a way to capture asteroids and mine them. It definitely wouldn't work, the design we came up with. None of us had any type of experience with that, but it was a really fun way to think creatively. We also learned a lot about like how to go about starting your own company. So there's a lot of really fun first year seminars you can take.
I got a ham radio license out of mine for whatever reason, so now I can operate amateur radio if I felt like it. And I got an A, so. That was the only requirement in the class, was get the license. Yeah, so just had to go about doing that. One thing here is the Garfield water tunnel, which is a really awesome spot for the naval research I was talking about earlier. It's a water tunnel that is, focuses on fluid dynamics research. Its shortest cross-sectional area on the pipe, or diameter rather, is 14 feet, so it's absolutely tremendous. A lot of stuff that goes on there is top secret by the Navy, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that aerospace professors work in there as well, and students do get involved directly with that kind of stuff. You can get a security clearance while you're in college, and fun fact is the top 10% of earners in the country hold security clearances. So, not saying that getting a security clearance guarantees a high salary, but there is a correlation. And we're going to give out little pamphlets with our names and emails on them as well, in case you want to contact us later, have questions. I know a couple of you were in aerospace or interested in that. Feel free to shoot me some questions if you got them. When I came to Penn State, I still wasn't certain if I wanted to do aerospace. I wanted to come to Penn State because I knew they had it, but I was still debating mechanical, and then I debated engineering science as well. So it took me a little bit to, find the direction I wanted to take, but overall, couldn't be happier with aerospace.
Good.
Wouldn't want to be in the other major.
So what do you plan on getting into?
So I had an internship my sophomore year with GE Aviation in Cincinnati, and then Boeing this past summer in St. Louis. And I really want to go back to Boeing, but I also want to go to grad school. So I'm really trying to go to grad school at like MIT or Stanford. That's my ultimate goal.
Wow.
I'm going to apply pretty soon, and then probably do internships in the summer with Boeing and try to, get a master's degree straight out of getting the bachelor's. Just kind of do a 1-2. Thanks. Yeah. I hope it works out. The application process is like really. Yeah. You got to take, it's kind of like the SATs, but it's the GREs, and then you draft like statements of purpose for every college.
Oh, wow.
You need all these letters of recommendation. You talking to professors because you want to get those assistantships and stuff, like funding that I was talking about.
Yes.
So you reach out to professors at these different universities, say, hey, I'm really interested in your research. Can I have like a TA assistantship or an RA where you help him teach a class, or you do research assistantship for him? And it's a great opportunity because grad schools will pay for the tuition and then give you the stipend on top of that. So traditionally, you'll get the tuition at the school you're at, and then $20,000 for the stipend to live.
Very nice.
Yeah, so Penn State's great at setting you up for grad school if you want to take that route.
Right.
That's the route I want to take, so we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of things up in the air, but
Well, at least you have those things up in the air.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know.
right, and that's the great thing. Is like you can go into industry or do graduate school. There's a lot of options. It's like having good problems.
Yes.
So it's a bunch of good
Right.
problems.
Right.
Just that's the kind of opportunities that Penn State gives students. It's great. So I never realized all the different opportunities I had until I got here, and I just wanted to take advantage of it.
Like you said, those are good problems.
It's just a bunch of good problems.
Yeah.
That's our next day.
Oh, awesome. That's convenient.
I was like, the radio?
So this is where we end our tour. Convenient
Yep.
for you guys.
So this is the end of the tour. Any last minute questions? Okay.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, we have little pamphlets we'll give you guys in case
Have
you got our
any
emails.
questions?